Hi YouTube, it's Lena, and I'm here today with my Captain America Civil War review. I am probably literally the last person actually putting out a review on this, but I want to have my say along with everybody else. And of course, if you guys do follow me, you know that I've been going through some wisdom tooth issues. I am still going through them, which is why I am making a dentist appointment tomorrow. I'm not thrilled about that. I haven't been to a dentist since I was 16. I do take care of my teeth, but you know, I can't deal with this just by brushing and flossing. I actually have to get stuff extracted from my head, but that's not what you're here for. But because of wisdom tooth issues, I wasn't able to get my review out in a timely manner. So I'm sure I'm just screaming against the wind with this, although there won't be much screaming. I actually really enjoyed the film, and it's now in it's now probably in my top 5 Marvel movies, so spoiler alert right there. There will be spoilers in here. It's been out for a month now. I don't think anybody should be complaining about spoilers anymore. If you're going to go see it, you either need to go see it or you probably shouldn't be too worried about spoilers. Just my opinion. So I'm not going to do like a full breakdown of summarizing the entire movie. That will take too long. This is like a 2.5 hour movie. But I'm just gonna go over some of my favorite parts and in some instances my least favorite parts. Okay, early on in the movie, they did a scene where Tony Stark is talking to his parents, so it's actually a very young Tony Stark, and rather than recasting somebody else to play him, because Robert Downey Jr., glorious as he is like 50 years old, so he can't play a 20-year-old self, you would think. But the de-aging technology that the Marvel Universe anyway, debuted in their movies with Ant-Man to make Michael Douglas not look 800 years old, actually made him look like, you know, less than zero Robert Downey Jr., which was really cool. And that scene was actually really, it looked amazing and it broke my heart a little bit. Just, you know, you always hear afterwards how, you know, Tony Stark didn't get along with his father, and you never hear anything about his mother. I loved watching him interact with his mother. That was so heartbreaking. So, the technology of that actually looked amazing. It didn't look weirdly cringy at all like it did way back in Tron Legacy when they did it to, I can't think of who it was anymore, but if you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about, where they de-aged the guy. It was the guy that played in the original one too. And he looked weird. It didn't look right. Like, the technology just wasn't quite there yet. It's there now. It looked great. But, you know, I'm actually quite glad that they wrote Pepper out of the movies and kind of gave a reason for it. It wasn't a great reason. They basically said that they were taking a break from each other. Gwyneth Paltrow has said multiple times that she doesn't really want to do Marvel movies anymore, and they tried to get her back so that I guess they could have like a real say bye to Pepper guys scene, but she either schedules didn't line up or she just didn't really want to do it. I don't really know which one happened. Who knows at the end of the day, but I'm glad they finally said something instead of having just a big gaping absence that was Age of Ultron, where they'd like try to pretend, oh, she's off doing crap. Huh? I did appreciate that they at least kind of gave a reason for her not being there, and Tony Stark appears to have a new assistant and everything like that. I still vote that they should put Darcy as his new assistant from the Thor movies, but that's just me. You know, speaking of Tony, he is obviously suffering from some undiagnosed, not quite PTSD, but close to it issues from Age of Ultron. And that's pretty obviously why he sided with the government as far as, you know, sides of Civil War. He realized I was out of control and created a monster that killed like the entire country of Sokovia or whatever it's called. And we as superheroes need to have some kind of governing body. And of course Captain America's like, well, what if they don't send us to something that needs it? Or what if they do send us to something that, you know, we didn't need to be there, which these are legitimate concerns, and I understand why Steve, or Captain America, is on the side that he's on, because he got to see all the ramifications of the fact that Hydra had infiltrated SHIELD for all those many years and got to basically be at ground zero when it blew the hell up in everybody's faces. So I could see him not trusting a government entity, and I was so curious as to how they were going to make Tony Stark be on the side of the government when, if you remember back in Iron Man 2, he was all like, I privatized world peace, guys. I'm not going to work with the government. Fuck you, bitches. That was his whole stance of Iron Man 2, and then you get to Civil War and it's completely different. And I was like, how are they going to pull that off? And I think they actually did a pretty good job of pulling that off, but I was so worried that that was going to be something weird and stupid. But Tony Stark is not the villain of the piece, guys, and honestly, neither is Steve Rogers. They're just approaching an issue from two different ways. Baron Zemo is the villain of the piece, and by the way, can I say, they completely wasted Crossbones as far as having the villain there. They literally like blew him up in the first scene, or he blew himself up, whatever. But for all that effort of like, you know, putting, hey, we're making him Crossbones basically back in the Winter Soldier to, you know, blow him the hell up as far as, you know, the first freaking fight scene, whatever you want to call it. That felt kind of pointless, and I hate when they basically stick characters in movies just to kill them. I had a big issue with that with Quicksilver and Age of Ultron, so yeah, that's my 2 cents on all of that. I actually did like Zemo as a villain, because I've had a big issue with a lot of the villains as far as Marvel movies have been concerned, because honestly, and everybody agrees on this, most of them have sucked, and he had a motivation that, you know, his wife and child and father were all killed in Sokovia when Age of Ultron happened. So he wanted to make, he didn't just want to take down the Avengers, he wanted them to rip themselves apart from the inside. And that's a real reason. I don't know how he pulled off what he pulled off. I don't know why he was allowed into the room with Bucky to like say the magic words that make him turn into a killing machine or whatever. But like, where did he get that video of Tony Stark's parents at the end to show to Tony anyway, to make him, you know, lose his shit and try to kill Bucky and basically want to rip Steve's head off because he knew that, big fat friggin' spoiler alert, the Winter Soldier, not Bucky, let's be clear, the Winter Soldier killed Tony Stark's parents, and the scene where they show it is brutal as hell. It broke my heart for him. But no wonder he lost his shit. He literally got to watch the Winter Soldier beat his father's head against the ground after he got long enough to realize that, oh my God, Sergeant Barnes is A, alive, and B, about to kill me. And one of the last words he was saying before he realized that was, go check on my wife, go check on my wife, she's still in the car. And then he just like beats him to the ground, pulverizes him, and then literally wrings the life out of Tony's mother with his hand. Oh my God. It's so terrible. No wonder he lost his shit a little. And that fight was amazing, by the way, and I wanted to die. And he's like, I'm sorry, Tony, he's my friend. Yeah, so was I. Ah, it broke me. It broke my heart. Because I don't know if you can guess, I'm Team Iron Man, obviously. I always have been. I'm just the hugest fan of Tony Stark in the movies. I'm a big fan of Robert Downey Jr. But that's one where I could see both sides very easily. You know, Steve wanted to protect his friend who was brainwashed for 70 odd years into doing shit that he would never have done otherwise, obviously. But, oh my God. I definitely get where both sides were coming from. Why did Howard Stark have that faux soldier serum in the back of his car anyway? What the hell was that? Are we gonna get an explanation on that? I want an explanation on that. I want to know why he had that when I thought it was such a big deal that they couldn't replicate it, and all of a sudden not only is it in Bucky, but that's like a whole thing, that they like had a kill squad that got all injected with it too. I'm just like, what the F, man? I don't understand any of that. Hopefully we'll get some explanations about that in further movies along. I don't know. Whew. I'm looking at my notes right here. Now, of course, the big fight in the middle is where you have everybody squaring off against each other, running up on a tarmac of an airport or something. I will say, that fight looked amazing. I absolutely loved, you know, Spider-Man in it. He was so adorable. I'm so glad that they picked an actual teenager. Like, the kid literally just turned 20 like a week ago. So they picked an honest to God like 18-year-old to play Peter Parker. And I wanted them to go with Miles Morales as far as the new Spider-Man was concerned, but if they're gonna go with Peter Parker, I'm glad they got a real teenager. And he's so cute and baby-faced and it's adorable. I'm not hating on Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, but this kid is actually looking like a teenager and neither one of them really did. Sorry. Whew. But that kid did amazing. I'm really looking forward to his movie. I'm glad it's not, you know, a straight up origin movie, because we don't need to see how Uncle Ben died again. Marissa Tomei did a pretty decent Aunt May too, even though she was like a super young Aunt May, and that kind of freaked me out at first, but she did a good job with it. I'm glad it's not a straight up, you know, origins movie, because I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. I don't think any of us need to see that. That's half of why I wanted them to go with Miles Morales, was just because nobody wants to see that no more. No, man. I'm glad it's not straight up that. And speaking of people that were in this big battle, am I the only one that thinks it was kind of wrong to recruit both Scott, the Ant-Man, and Hawkeye? They both have children that, you know, they're gonna be without a daddy now. Scott went back to prison. Clint went back to prison. They went on that big boat thing where they were all locked up together. And even though, you know, Cap broke them out at the end of the movie, they can't go home. They're on the run now. Like, I guess they were basically in Wakandia at the end of the movie, because that's where, like, he froze Bucky because Bucky's freaked out. There's these words that people could say and turns me into a murder machine again, and I don't want to deal with that shit no more. Until we can figure out how to get that shit out of my head, please freeze me with, even though I'm totally missing a metal arm now and looking all crazy, but whatever. You know. That felt so wrong to recruit both of them, or for them to agree to even do it when it's like, you guys got kids at home. You can't just run off and do shit like that. You gotta think about your kids, man. I'm worried I'm gonna get hate for saying that, but that's true. It's like, you know, the whole thing, they made such a big deal about Ant-Man's kid in his movie that it's just like, why are you running off now? Are you so ready to meet Captain America and go fight for him that you're literally willing to be put in jail and never see your kid again for it? And, you know, Hawkeye, they introduced this whole thing in Age of Ultron about, oh, we kept my wife and now 3 kids off the radar so that nobody would mess with them. And the first thing he says when he's on screen is like, what are you doing here? Disappointing my kids. Oh man, you're a parent, you can't do that. Whatever. The fight itself looked great. I think it was a little selfish to have the 2 of them there. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm just crazy. I did love Black Panther. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's T'Challa. I feel like an asshole. I should know how to say that, but I don't. He didn't have a ton of lines in the movie, but I think his was I think they put in enough good setup in there for him to have his own movie, and I'm really looking forward to it. The actor was amazing in it. Another person or character that I think was actually a real amazing addition was General Ross. I mean, who thought they were going to bring that dude back from The Incredible Hulk? And I love the kind of update to his personality. Like, they said in the movie, I was putting on the green and I nearly dropped dead of a massive heart attack or stroke or something. And it kind of explains the personality change. Like, they, you know, talk about it in the movie. I don't want to say he's a little bit more chill, but he's got a little bit more chill on him than he did in that movie. Just a little bit, just a tiny bit, and it works. It works really well. So I'm so surprised that Stark was working with him with that at all. If you've seen the end credit scene to The Incredible Hulk, it makes no... It's crazy. It's not that it don't make no sense. It's just crazy, but they kind of made it work. So, you know, as far as interactions with different characters go, that General Ross and Tony Stark actually working together but not really liking each other actually kind of worked. Bucky and Sam, I loved their Their little interactions. Hey man, can you move your seat up? No. And yet when like, which I'll get to this in a second, but when like Steve is kissing Sharon Carter, who is actually the niece of Peggy Carter, you know, his old flame. Ew. I'll get to that in a minute. They're both kind of giving him that smile of, oh thank God he finally kissed somebody. He's not pining over his old ass girlfriend no more. Like, yeah, dude. That was hilarious. But I hate Sharon and Steve together. That is so creepy. You don't date your old girlfriend's niece. I mean, this has probably come up like 5 times in the history of ever, I guess. I don't know. But it's weird, man. Like, you literally didn't show any interest in her until you realized that she was Peggy Carter's niece. And, man, she's just weird. I don't see how you know that this was your aunt's, like, old flame first, not actually first love if you've seen Agent Carter. But, like, old flame, like, big time love of her life, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna hit that now, man. Even Haley Atwell, the woman who plays Peggy Carter, came out recently and was like, ew, no. Like, Peggy Carter would roll over in her grave, shoot herself up with the evil soldier serum, ground Sharon, and then beat Steve's ass. I'm like, yeah, somebody thinks like I do, thank God. I'm not crazy. At least it's not just me who thinks that, because it's weird. Oh my goodness. That was a little bit too much of a rant right there. As you can see, that relationship freaks me out a little bit. Anyways, like I said, both battles with the guys fighting each other were amazing. I loved seeing Giant Man, and I thought that was really cute. Where he was in the end just like, can somebody give me an orange slice, please? And like I said, the end battle with Steve and Tony, and Steve's trying to protect Bucky from Tony, who wanted to like rip his head off. I don't know how he didn't die, because he like blew off his metal arm and everything. And I know that it's not the same as a real arm, but good God, he had to feel something off of that. That just broke my heart. I'm glad they kind of wrapped it up in the end, saying like, you know, it's not that they're enemies. If you need me, man, you can call me. I'm giving you this little burner phone that you can use. And then when, you know, General Ross calls, it's like, they're all breaking out. They're all breaking out. And Tony's just like, yeah, I'm gonna put you on hold, because I can't deal with that right now. Overall, I think it was a really great movie. Like I said, top 5 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. I think it worked out really well overall. Just, you know, there were some things that I was a little bit on or curious about. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry this wound up being really long, but as always, I do really appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you later. Bye!